Okay. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for coming to my talk. I really appreciate it. Already given this talk once, and Tom has been to my talk and has been great success to my surprise, probably because of my imposter. And I was really overwhelmed with the response I got and that it touched so many people. So I hope today you'll also learn something new and find it useful. As Tom said, I studied psychology, and before I did career change into data, all my roles were related to working with people, and I'm actually quite intrigued to find out that in my role as a data engineer, still working with people is the most important part of it. So I'm using my skills every day. And as I'm now a data engineer and only 4 years into this role, you can imagine that I feel every day like an imposter being surrounded by extremely talented and knowledgeable people. But I found my way how to cope with it, and I hope to share with you today my tips, and hope you'll share your experiences with me as well to make it kind of conversational and interesting, because I want to learn as well. So what is imposter? So you know the famous game Imposter, yeah? And it's when you pretend when you're not someone else. But it's actually not what imposter is. In fact, people who experience imposter syndrome rarely pretend who they not are. They rarely cheat, rarely plagiarize, or they work really hard and try to prove that they are where they are for a reason. And before we start talking about the imposter, I would like you to give me your views on what do you think about imposter? What first words come to your mind when you think about imposter? If you could open the Menti website and use this code and put your words in, that would be great.
Is it just menti.com? Lena?
Yeah, it's menti.com. It's can you see on the screen the website? And if you put that number, it should get you. And we should see it on here. Your answers. Not for this. For this. So, what words come to your mind when you think of the imposter syndrome?
Okay. I'll put the code. I'll put the code in as well, so people can use it to copy it. I'll do it now.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, there's the code.
Any more? Yes. Scam, fraud, fear, fake, deceit, scared, unworthy, not good enough. Yeah. Shame. Con artist. Yeah. Don't know anything. Yes. all of those words actually describe what imposter is, and yeah, well, someone will get found out. Yes, yeah, all of this is true. Amazing response, thank you. Let me go back to my presentation. So that's exactly what imposter syndrome is, unfortunately. And the term of imposter system was actually coined by psychologist Pauline Clance, who wrote a paper, The Imposter Phenomenon in the High Achieving Woman. And interesting that while studying women, this term was invented. Obviously, it wasn't invented, it was always there, but it was kind of coined. But however, research shows that it affects everyone, women, kids, all genders, all backgrounds, all demographic groups. So it's a phenomenon that affects everyone. So what imposter syndrome is, it's all those things that you've just said. And it commonly refers to people who persistently believe that they don't have enough intelligence, skills, or competence, and that if they have any success, they attribute all their success to the external factors like I had connections, people just like me, I was just lucky, and they're expecting that at any moment someone will find out that they're actually not who they think they are. And let's also have a little quiz and try to answer those questions and see if you can say yes to any of those. For example, do you attribute access to luck, timing, or some kind of error? Do you believe that if I can do it, then anybody can? This certainly applied to me many times. Do you agonize over the smallest flaws in your work? Are you crushed by constructive criticism, see it as an evidence of your ineptness? When you do succeed, do you secretly feel like you fooled them again? Do you worry that it's a matter of time before you find out? So if you answered, just have a minute to think about those. If you answered to any of those as a yes, then you've experienced imposter syndrome. Hopefully not all the time, just some of the time, because it can be quite debilitating and impede your development and grow if you feel all the time like an imposter. But what I want to talk today about is that normally we associate our ability is how competent we are, and so when you feel like an imposter, you are looking at yourself, how good you are, how competent you are, and it normally and we can look at 5 of the types of competence type, and you probably can associate yourself with one of those types. So and these types are as follows: the perfectionist, the natural genius, the individualist, the expert, and the superwoman, man, or student. And let's have a look in detail in all those 5 types. So the perfectionist. I'll probably start with a quote from Jennifer White. Perfectionism has nothing to do with getting it right. It has nothing to do with having high standards. Perfectionism is a refusal to let yourself move ahead. So when you are a perfectionist, this is your single focus to make things perfect. Anything perfectionists do should be up to the highest standards. Nothing short of perfect is acceptable. Failure only confirms feelings of imposterism. And obviously, if you want something perfect, it's almost impossible to achieve. So you kind of set yourself for a failure already from start. If as a perfectionist, if you want something done right, you've got to do it yourself. When you do delegate things, you are often frustrated and disappointed at the results because things are not done your way. And sometimes, actually, being perfectionist, you impede yourself from doing anything because you have such a high standards that you may not even attempt at doing things because it takes a lot of effort and energy to do things 100%. So what can you do to change your thinking. So first of all, understanding, sometimes people on the teams, if you have someone on the team who is perfectionist, they actually impede the team's development and progress, because they're waiting for that moment, then everything is like 100% perfect. So it can be actually an inhibitor factor for succeeding. So it's also change your thinking that what is good enough. So it doesn't have to be 100% perfect. It just has to be good enough to proceed. Also, if you keep in mind that your perfectionism might affect other people and impact how they do things, so it can be quite debilitating. Non-perfection is to be embraced. So being aware of things don't have to be 100% perfect, and just accepting it. So that's the first time, the perfectionist. Moving on to the next time, which is natural genius. So if you are of this type, you would probably think, if I were really smart, I would understand everything first time. You also might think you either have talent or not. And if you don't have talent, there is no need to even try. And this is a kind of fixed mindset. You also attribute your intelligence and skills as like together. Instead, you should try to think in the grow mindset. So it's which is intelligence can be built over the time. So if you keep learning, like a baby doesn't know anything. The baby is learning every day, a step at a time. Children at school the same. At the university, there is no one born knowing everything. Even it's known fact that to succeed at anything, no matter how talented you are, you need to apply yourself and spend 10,000 hours to become brilliant at something. So, and your natural talent is not enough to be good. So you need to have this growth mindset that you learn step at a time, and you're constantly developing, learning, and if you have that growth mindset, you can be at any stage. You don't have to be talented. You all you need to have is a desire to learn and improve. So how you can change your thinking? So understanding that effort trumps ability. Challenges are often opportunities in disguise. So if something is challenging in front of you, it's just an opportunity to learn something new and get out of the comfort zone and get to the next level where it was unimaginable for you in the beginning. And real success takes time, always takes time. So if you have thinking, I'm unqualified, I think I may be inexperienced, but I'm fully capable of growing into the role. So let's move on to the next type. So the next type is the expert. So as an expert, you are operating out of mindset that competence requires absolute knowledge, that you need to know a subject backward and forward. So as an expert, you would think, I can speak on a subject, before I can present or do anything, I need to study the subject inside out and spend hours on it. And quite often it impedes you from doing anything. Sometimes when we coach younger engineers, you think, oh, I need to be senior, or I need to be that level, or I need to be that. And it's not true. As long as you are slightly better than the person you're coaching, you're already giving something back. You're already helping someone. Moreover, you can also learn. You always learn from another person as well. So there is no such thing as an expert where you get into a certain level where you're allowed to speak on a subject. At any level, you can already share your knowledge. So how can you change your thinking if you are that kind of person that feels like to become an expert, I need first spend hours learning. So there are many paths to expertise, and you don't need to know all of those. You can just be on that path and already have some knowledge that you could share. And there is no end to the knowledge, and this is not like we learning all our lives, and there is no end to it, and there is no a line where you can reach, where you can start be considered to be an expert. And when you understand that this is like infinity, it will be easier not trying to reach that point and just be happy with where you are, kind of good enough expert. Also, competence also means respecting your limitations. As it's okay not to know everything, and this is just accepting it. Also, it's also important. Also being an expert is having the ability to accept that you don't know something and find, but knowing where you can find resources or people to help you find out the information you need. And even when you don't know something, you can still project confidence. This is the heartbeat. But we all learn to do it, and that's why we are all working in the teams, not on our own. And it's already known fact that no longer solo workers are successful. You need to be part of the team, and as a team or as a company, we all have different skills and expertise, and as together we can deliver what we need to deliver. And the next one is the individualist. So it's when you are kind of like a solo person, when you believe that true competence equals solo unadded achievement. And if I were really competent, I could do everything myself. That's what you're thinking. So people who have this mindset really struggle to work in a team. So for example, when they deliver something as a team, they don't feel like they've achieved something, because that's kind of like a shared achievement. So these people struggle to delegate, struggle to ask for help. They overworked and work long hours to kind of prove that they're good enough. Also, they think they have a thinking, if they will ask for help, that it's sign of weakness, like they can't do it on their own. So what can you do to change your thinking? So to get the job done, you first need to identify the resources required. Competent people know how to ask what they need. Smart people seek out people who know more than they do. When seeking advice, it's important to ask the right people. Your work doesn't have to be groundbreaking to be good. And I like this quote from Henry Kissinger. I make progress by having people around who are smarter than I am and listening to them. And I assume that everyone is smarter about something than I am. Quite often, actually, people who are in high roles like directors and heads of, they surely don't know anything, especially what's going on in the business, and they rely heavily on people around them that they know, and they will tell them. So it's important to surround yourself and to know who to ask to get the information you need. And the last one is when you are a superwoman or man or student or mother. So it's when you feel like you have to have it all, and you need to, and that you want to succeed in all walks of life and be good at every role you have in your life, because normally we have few roles. Or doing everything yourself, working long hours and having everything under control. So these people would normally struggle to delegate and give others. So they would want to control everything. So if you're a person like this, so you would need to learn a few things like delegating and trusting people and letting them do parts of the work. Also slowing down and cutting out tasks that maybe not necessary or don't require the focus or don't deserve the focus at the moment. So like prioritizing and focusing on what's important. Also learning to say no to things, not trying to be everywhere at once. Also, if you are like superwoman or man, it sends unhealthy message to people who look up to you or for whom you are a role model. So it's it's important to kind of slow down and tell myself that it's okay. It's okay not to have it all and be superhuman, which at the end will probably affect health and well-being, and it's not worth it. So now I would like to hear your opinions. So what type of imposter syndrome competence resonates most with you? If you can go back to that Menti survey, if you still have it open. Let me open my... Not sure how made it big. Can you see the second slide?
I can see. I think the first one's still up for me. Is it the same link? Same code, Lena?
I think so, yeah. No, let me...
Apparently it says the presenter hasn't changed the slides yet.
Oh, okay. Just one moment to open this. Sorry, it's my first time using this. Right, okay. I think there was a link here. If I click here, it doesn't change, right? Oh, maybe I need to click present.
That's changed it.
Okay. Can you see it now?
Yeah, that's it. Perfect.
Okay.
I think you need to allow responses, Lena.
Okay. Response is off. Allow new response.
Press C.
Press C.
Yeah, that's it.
A bit of all of them. I think the one that a bit of all of them is actually quite healthy. Would anyone like to share how it manifests for you? I can probably start with mine. I am the super human, superwoman. So I really struggle with delegating and like prioritizing, and I'm trying to control everything and be successful in everything. And again, and so I constantly need to kind of review, be self-aware of what I'm doing, and saying no to things to myself, that it's okay not to do everything, and to be in control of it. Also, being as a mom, you feel like it's also your job to be on top of everything. And I'm still coming to terms that as a working mom, you just can't still be 100% at being a mom, and it's okay. Just be good enough. Just be there. And I constantly checking with my children: do they still love me? Are they still okay for me not being there for them 100% of the time? And I don't know, I need this reassurance from them every time. Yes, it's still fine. I still love you. It's still okay. Yeah. And yeah, maybe someone else would like to share which type for you is most
I'll jump in. I think something I've found with looking at it as an individualist, I want to be a master at all areas, and you can never know everything, which always just means you feel kind of out of your depth, and like you're faking it, when you know, an awareness and like you said, knowing where to get that information, how, who, surrounding yourself by good people is the answer. But yeah, definitely at the time when you're there can certainly feel overwhelming.
Thank you for sharing. Anyone else?
I'll go then later. So probably a mix of a few, but probably the most dominant one for me would be the individualist. You mentioned about struggling to delegate because having somebody help is a sign of weakness because you can't do everything yourself. I think that's the one that resonates with me most, personally.
Thank you.
For me, I put the natural genius. I think sometimes I have an expectation on myself that I should just know things, when I forget how hard-earned the things that I do know were. That one resonated with me a bit.
Sometimes those things come also with the background, with the upbringing we get. So if we are coming from a family that, like, you know, sometimes we send kids to do an activity because they have a natural talent. However, I don't believe there is such a thing. There is hard work. So for me, the most important thing is that you want to learn something or you want to do something. And it doesn't matter you've got talent or not talent. You would still need to put a lot of work for it to become a skill. But sometimes we grow up with like, you're talented, you're not talented, and you get that kind of label that to do something, you need to have a talent. And to be honest, that's why I didn't study tech, because I thought you need to have a special talent. You need to be good at whatever. So your desire is not enough, which is not true. So now I believe with the age that the most important thing is that your intrinsic motivation, that you want to do something. And yeah, of course, some people are more talented than the other people, but it doesn't matter. You might be super talented, but if you haven't got that motivation and desire to learn and that make it skill, your talent is useless. So sometimes those things come with our bringing. So recognizing them, that it's not what you are, it's what you've been probably told that it's the way. But some people leave some messages.
Yeah, I was going to say this. Ian and Sally have just put some posts in. I mean, you can read those out if you want, Lena.
So Sally said, for me, the expert resonates with my personality. I work in IT, and my workplace is dominated by men, so I always feel the urge to acquire lots of knowledge. Yeah, I feel that every day, working in IT as well. Yeah, but actually, I've coped with it quite well. So when I started, I was completely overwhelmed. Being most people around me had years of experience in IT, and I felt I was a total beginner. But with the experience, first of all, I learned that I progressed a lot, and I know in 4 years I'm much more than I knew, like even a year ago, 2 years ago. And for me, the most important thing now is actually not being afraid to ask. When people say there is no such thing as stupid question, I still struggle with sometimes and give myself a bit of time before first figure out myself and then asking. But I now made it a rule that I would always go and ask for help. And quite often I would find out that that person also doesn't know. And the other person also doesn't know. And we all need to go and ask someone else on a different team. And that's fine. And this braveness to actually just go and ask questions and put aside your fear that, oh, I will be perceived as stupid or someone who should know it all already. Yeah. There is another comment. I'm under depression. I'm schizophrenic. I feel I'm under 3 of archetypes presented. That includes the Superman, even though it definitely says to include the others. I think we probably have it all, a mix of all, but I probably some of the types probably would dominate more than the others, and also depends on the personality. Maybe let's carry on.
You can see the Ian message as well, Lena. So Ian's traveling, he can't speak, but he was saying identifies most with superhuman. Struggling with things don't go to plan. So yes, thanks everyone for sharing that.
Yes, yeah.
I wonder if I could jump in with a question.
Yes, of course, yeah.
So a bit of a comment, actually, I guess. So while you were running through that, I went and looked up how do you overcome imposter syndrome, and there were 6 points that were on a particular website that I think were quite interesting. I wouldn't mind reading them to you and get your feedback,
Yes,
if that's
yes,
okay.
please. Yes, of course.
So the 6 are: number 1, acknowledge your feelings. 2, talk to others. 3, I found particularly good, actually. It's develop a quick response plan. So if you can acknowledge what type of imposter syndrome you have, and you can actually develop a plan so you can refer back to it. You can say, in this case, if I feel this way, this is kind of how I want to react. I think those are pretty good. 4 was understand your strengths and weaknesses. 5 was overcome perfectionism. And 6 was own your successes. And I think that's incredibly strong as well.
Yes, yeah. I think it's leads very nicely to the takeaways for my talk. That's exactly what. So I have 5. So first of all is so yeah, I agree with all of them, and we can talk about more in detail about them. So first is like normalizing the experience. It's okay to feel imposter, and especially people who are high achievers, people who are in the like entrepreneurs or in high roles, all of them experience imposter, and the higher you get, the more severe it becomes. So when you're looking for a next challenge, for the next job, you would constantly question yourself: do I really suitable for the job? Would I really manage? And kind of normalizing that experience, understanding that it's okay to feel like that. And if someone asks me to do the job, or if I've been trusted to do, or that, then it means that kind of trusting other people to know better if you don't trust yourself. And then challenge self-doubt. So if you are if you have thinking like, I don't know, I don't know anything, or I don't know enough, or I must be fraud, thinking more in the way like, it's okay not to know, and I would like to learn more. I'm here to learn. And actually quite often when you get into the new role, you would be terrified, yeah. And most of the jobs that we would go to, they would be totally out our comfort zone, otherwise they're not worth trying, yeah. And it's okay to, as long as you have that mindset that you want to learn more and you're open to growing, that's all you need, yeah, instead of focusing on I don't know anything. And I think the most dangerous thing with imposter syndrome, when it paralyzes you and freezes you, when you are you know, when you are in a meeting and people talk about something, you have no idea what they're talking about. If it brings you into the step of the freeze, like, what am I doing here? I don't know. Instead of just, it's fine, okay, I don't know this, but I will find out, like making notes and then go and learning what all of that is meant. Then also, this is what you mentioned, yeah, celebrating achievements. So I think this is a very important thing. Yeah, when you're get a certificate, pass exam, or when you get an award or something amazing, it didn't happen for mistake. So however, it's quite often you might think, oh, that's some misunderstanding, and soon everyone will find out that it was just a mistake. No, it wasn't. And so if you've achieved something, just celebrate it, because it's very important. And also, if someone else achieved something, or so help other people to celebrate and be happy for them, and kind of show them that it's what they've done is great and amazing, and they deserve what they've got. And the next thing is like seeking support. So so if you have a lot of imposter syndrome thoughts and feelings, and you feel like they are stopping you or from developing, or stopping from trying other things, or stopping from getting yourself out of the comfort zone, seek some support, talk to other people, find a mentor, talk to your someone you trust, to check those your thoughts and feelings, and you would, I'm guarantee 100% that people from outside have different view on you, and would help you fight those thoughts. And the last one, embrace the imperfection. It's like, that's it's okay not to be 100%, and you just need to be good enough to do your job. And even if you do mistakes, that's okay. That's an opportunity to learn, and develop, and progress. I would probably like to finish. So when I was preparing for this talk, I watched few TED Talks on imposter syndrome, when people were talking from their experience. And one of them really touched me, from a guy who's an entrepreneur. And the more he got like awards and achievements, and the more success, the more imposter he felt. Is like, what am I doing here? I don't, there are other people around me that deserve all those awards. And when he would come to the world top entrepreneur or something, that he was surprised to find out that other people felt exactly the same. And what he learned for himself, that the most important thing is to avoid that frozen state, then you realize that you don't know something, and people will find out that you don't know. And instead, just keep doing it, keep learning, keep finding out. And it's just, if people around you think you are good and you're okay, just keep doing it. Keep doing what you're already doing, and at the end it will work out. I think that's it. Any questions? Any more thoughts on this?
We did have. Oh, sorry. Go on, Mike.
So I'll throw another thought at you. So I'm an Agile coach, Scrum Master. There are a lot of people that are in leadership positions as well, or in senior positions.
Yeah.
We've talked a lot about people that struggle with this. We've talked a lot about what people can do to go and get help. What about what leaders can do in order to try and minimize this in a work setting? So thinking through that, I've come up with a couple of things like make sure that you develop safe, open relationships so people feel comfortable speaking to you. So create a space for them to talk to you. So often it's difficult for people to talk, but if they're sitting with you, having a cup of coffee, being alone, then at least they have the space to talk. And then you have to be really careful not to push them too hard. Otherwise you can push them actually deeper into their imposter syndrome or away.
Yeah, definitely. I think the normalizing it is very important. And I think also as a man, I think you're affected more, because I think women just naturally tend to talk a lot and discuss all the things. And it's a bit like a therapy, when women get together, they just feel better.
Well,
as soon as they start talking. But as a man, it's very difficult to acknowledge that you've got that, because it's kind of like a sign of weakness. That you even like considering having imposter. You should be perfect. Everything is great. And normalizing it, that everyone experiences that, and creating that space where you can talk about it, and share how it feels. Because self-awareness is the first step, even kind of understanding that you have it and how it affects you is already a first step to combat it. What do you think?
So I think you're right. It probably is more prevalent as a problem. So men probably struggle with talking about it more than women, which is I think the point you're making. But I worry that that's an overgeneralization. Everybody should be treated as an individual. So
Yeah,
I
of
know
course.
plenty of strong women who don't talk, people like yourself. So your story was about being a super mom around your kids. So, I've known a lot of women who will get to a point where they break down before they start speaking. So we need to be aware of that. But I had 3 other thoughts as well. So beyond that, I'd say keep reminding people that you're there if they need help. If they can't speak to you, speak to somebody, and try and get help. And that, eulogize why it's important to do that. One thing we've talked about already is celebrating people. And the other thing might be to actually do presentations like this more in organizations. So get HR to do presentations like this, because if people know that other people might be struggling, and especially if people stand up, put up their hand and tell their own stories, people might feel that they're not so alone, and it might encourage them to go and speak to people.
Yeah, I agree. To be honest, I was so when I gave this talk I gave it at the tech conference in our company, and I was so unsure whether I should give it, because it felt to me like, oh, it's not a technical talk, no one would be interested. It's, I had all those imposter feelings until one of my senior colleagues, who is a role model for me, like senior role, she helped me so much to go for it and actually do it. And I was so overwhelmed with the response. So many people came to me afterwards, and actually from high positions, saying that they feel like that. And I was like, wow, this is something that needs to be talked more. Definitely, because we tend to, in the tech companies, just focus on technical stuff and not on things like that more important, I think.
I agree with you 100%. I think, you've shown a real bravery, and I think that's amazing. So well done.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike, for that question. I'll take one from the chat from Maru. Then Maru's asked, what are the sources for these archetypes that you mentioned? Are these from your own reflections and thinking, or do they come from a source in literature?
No, it comes from source in literature. I can share some resources later if you want to read more on this.
Great, yeah, thanks, Lena. I think Maru especially would like that, but I'm sure other people would be really interested as well in that. Oh yeah, Maru's just said, please share the literature with us. Yeah, thanks, Lena.
Yeah.
Sally's got a hand up. If it's Sally.
Hi. Thank you, Lena. It was a very interesting presentation. I really appreciate it. My question is, I was once told that people who speak multiple languages are more keen to develop this imposter syndrome. What is your thought on this? Because I speak 3 languages, and sometimes I feel like I have split personalities, because one language kind of shape the way you think, your logic, and sometimes switching from one language to another change my perspective on certain things, and therefore it reinforce the feeling of not being at the right place. So what is your thought on this? Thank you.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I know a few people in tech who believe that their language actually impeds their progression and development, and I'm really sad to hear that. Which I think tech is actually the area where language, I think, is the least affects you and your culture, and it's actually the opposite. To be honest, I feel the most inclusive being a foreigner in tech. But I actually, my background is in psychology, and I actually wanted to be a therapist, but I've been told by people you need to be a native speaker and to be a therapist in England, for example. And I don't know why I believe that. And I thought, my English is not good enough. It will never be good enough to do certain things or certain professions. And unfortunately, yeah, your language or your culture can be can make you feel like an imposter and that you're not good enough to do certain things. I don't think it's true, but it takes a while to realize that, and you need support from other people to believe otherwise. It's hard when you're on your own. So I don't know what can be done about that. Does it answer your questions?
Well, yes and no. You are right. Indeed, I agree that I shouldn't use language as a barrier to move forward in my career, but I can't help it. And for example, my level of English, I'm never good enough. I feel like people don't understand me.
You know what? I think it's probably that's my mindset. That I was talking about. As there is no limit. Like I'm in the same situation. Yeah, my although some people say that my English is amazing, but I know it's not, and it will never be of a level of a native speaker, and that's I accepted it. because I'm not a native speaker, but I know other languages and native speakers don't. And this is my advantage because I can talk in other languages. I can understand other cultures, and I don't want to, so this my inability to be 100% in English compensate by knowing other languages and other cultures that gives me other advantages. And I think understanding that kind of helped me. Like I will never become an English person, and that's okay. No one wants me to be English. People want me to be Lena from Ukraine, the way I am. And that's what I think in England we are quite lucky. I think England is quite inclusive in that respect, that it's okay to be from other cultures, because that's what brings different views, different opinions, different ideas. We don't want the same people.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for that, Sally. Thanks for sharing your thoughts on that. I think Mike's got another question. I can't see anybody else with a hand up, so I'll go to you, Mike.
Sorry, I feel like I'm monopolizing here, but actually my question is for Sally. Sally, you feel that way at work or more generally?
Actually, all the time.
Okay, yeah.
Whenever I have to speak in a foreign language, so for example, in English or in Dutch, or because I'm French native, so whenever I have to speak, like right now, I'm covered in sweat.
Right.
Your English is so amazing.
Yeah, I was going to
It's
say
great.
to you, I'm a native English speaker, and trust me when I tell you, you speak really eloquently, you speak really well.
Yeah, your English is amazing.
We can
100%.
absolutely understand you.
Whoa.
And
coming from
to
native
the point,
speaker.
I mean, let me tell you, my ex-wife comes from Slovakia, and there were times when I struggled to understand her. Trust me, you speak a lot better than she did, and her and I got along well enough that we got married. So you're absolutely understandable. I've not heard your Dutch. I don't speak Dutch, so I probably couldn't really help there.
And probably
But as far as your English
none
goes,
of us can speak French.
Thank you very much for all these compliments. Thank you.
and Sally, just one more thing. I mean, if it is genuinely how you feel, and you will wake up some mornings feeling worse than others, sort of try and find somebody you feel comfortable with and express those feelings. Because I honestly think that if people can reassure you enough, that hopefully it'll start diminishing that feeling. I don't say it'll ever get rid of it, but it'll certainly help.
You're right, but you see, having this imposter syndrome, it pulls me back, because as I feel like I'm not good enough, I need to master the language. So it kind of pulls me back, and sometimes I even sabotage myself. Yeah. So instead of saying something, I said, well, something totally the other way around, because I was so afraid of not using the proper words, the proper grammar. So that's my problem. To get back to the imposter syndrome, this is why I said, if there is a link between multilingualism and this imposter syndrome.
So Sally, earlier I sort of suggested that people create an action plan, right? So that's when it really starts pulling on you and you feel like, oh, I'm just really not good enough. It's good to be able to come back to a plan, something that you can do reliably. Speak to somebody that you know, get somebody on the phone, tell them how you're feeling, so that you can have a counterbalance to that. You can have something pulling you in the other direction as well. So I would strongly suggest that.
Sally, do you feel like this only with languages or in other areas as well?
So as I explained, I work in IT. I have a degree in computer science. So whenever I need to make a presentation on data analysis, because that's what I'm doing for the time being, I really feel that even though I know the subject, I'm always scared that someone would come with a question, or something unexpected would happen, and I would freeze. And it happened
Mhm.
in the past that I had really ridiculous questions and I froze. I was paralyzed.
Yeah, I think it's a typical reaction of imposter syndrome, you know, when that you freeze. You know, I think you can come out like with a little plan. So what do you do when then a question like this comes and you freeze? Maybe you can come out like with a, thank you for your question, blah, blah, blah. And I'll need to check this. I will come back to you on this later. Well, something like this, you know, something standard that you can use to any question, but that gives you that opportunity to have a think and get back to it later, so that you're not, you know, some kind of an answer that you can use in any question.
Well, it's easier said than done, because usually it's like I just got a slap in my face and I can't think straight. So I'm like, there's an awkward silence, or my face is just, you know, I have this funny face, and people see that I'm uncomfortable, and someone in the audience just try to take over and you know, to give me some time to breathe. But I know a generic answer would be like you said, something I can come back to your question later and so on, but I don't get that reflex right away.
But if you already know yourself, yeah, you know that you may react like that. So maybe getting ready for it, you know, knowing that someone might ask you a question that will get you into the freeze state, and you already have that answer ready. You know, when you kind of practice in advance, you know, like in the mock interviews, yeah. If you already got through the mock interview, you already went through that stress, you know, of that question being asked, and then you kind of prepare for it. But you say it happens every time?
Well, at least every Friday I need to present to PMs, project managers, and service delivery managers. So I present the analysis that I have done from the previous week, and I try to prepare myself for lots of questions, but there's always someone that will come up with something that I didn't think of. And then, yeah, I don't, you know, you have this generic answer that you would like to just hop out of or let it out, but I can't. And 5 minutes later, I'm like, why didn't I say that? It was like, I know the subject, I can answer the question, but I'm so frozen that it's like I'm losing my ability.
Yeah.
Sally, can I make a recommendation? Just if you've got notes, at the top of your notes, just write in big letters, can I come back to you on that? And if somebody asks you that question and you freeze, just say, can I come back to you on that?
I will try.
Yeah, because I can tell you right now, I'm a native speaker and I struggle with exactly the same problem. People ask me questions, I can't think of the answer. I don't give them the answer. I feel totally stupid. 5 seconds after walking out of the meeting, I think, oh, that's what I should have said.
Exactly.
You're not alone. You're absolutely not alone. But if you can practice, as Lena correctly says, if you can practice a strategy where you have something prepared like that on something you can look down at on a piece of paper, then that might well help.
Another thing I was thinking, maybe you could have someone who can back you up, like, you know, someone who can kind of present with you in the situation like this, help you with the answer, or kind of like you are presenting together, but you're doing the most thing, but that person kind of is there to support you. Is this possible?
I never asked, actually, because since I'm the owner of the presentation, I like to take control of the whole process, you know. So
yeah, but maybe it's the thing of because, you know, you're trying to control everything and it's very difficult. You could share that burden and responsibility with someone, you would feel so relieved and supported. You will no longer feel like you're on your own.
Okay, I will try. Thank you for your guidance. I really appreciate it.
But just saying, I'm not an expert. It's like I'm just whatever, the main thing that something works. I'm not saying this will work or something else, but just try different things and see what works for you. Just don't feel I think the most horrible thing in this, that when you feel you're on your own and that you're fighting it on your own, where we all in the same boat, and we should all think of the different strategies, what we do to feel better. And next time, not feel so stressed about it. Kind of learning manage those situations, so that Fridays are not so stressful for you anymore.
Cross fingers. Thank you very much.
Hi there, Jeff Watts here, and like me, I'm sure you loved that session because it's another example of becoming great at Agile. We're proud to sponsor Agile Northants here at Agile Mastery Institute because, like us, the people of Agile Northants know that mastery matters. And we're on a mission to make Agile certification meaningful. We want to change the paradigm so that when people think of Agile certification, they think of a pathway of actual, real, deep learning over time. Not just learning good practice, but reflecting on that practice and tailoring the learning to the context of the learner. So at Agile Mastery Institute, we don't just offer 2-day classes. We offer at least 6 months worth of support, a combination of classroom, of coaching sessions, and community support. So you know that you will get some great practice content and theory and skills development, but also you will be able to direct that learning through your bespoke coaching sessions over the course of at least 6 months. This will help you in your role, it'll help your employers, it'll help your teams, and it'll help regain respect for Agile certification throughout the industry. So if you believe Agile certification matters, then come along to one of our cohorts. We've got licensed guides around the world offering flexible programs over time zones and cadence. Check out agilemasteryinstitute.com for your options. If you've got any questions about any of it, how the pathways work, how it could work for you, how it could work for your organization, then just drop me a note and I'll happily explain more. But until then, keep on doing great Agile.